Caution. The news you are about to view is exciting, informative, and generally factual. Our upcoming narratives tackle real-world events, politics, culture, and social affairs, served with a generous side of satire. Expect sharp wit and exaggerated irony that are ridiculously and undeniably accurate.
Good evening, and welcome to tonight's broadcast. Hi, I'm Dolly. Llama. We have a lot to cover, from major developments on the world stage to stories impacting your local community. Plus, the latest in weather, sports, and business. Stay with us as we bring you the news you need to know. And apparently what you need to know, an insight of Lunacy.
From the day's top headlines to stories you won't want to miss, we've got it all covered. A major political shakeup, a shocking sports upset, and the feel-good moment of the week, right here, right now. Hello, I'm Monica Boulevard, and this is Current News with Dolly and Monica. Let's get started. How many of you, our viewers, have some concern about the mental capacity, or rather capability of making intelligible and coherent decisions made by our government, scientific, religious, educational leaders, social influencers, and administrators? Let's talk about that for a moment. The term lunatic is an outdated and often derogatory term historically used to describe individuals with mental illnesses. In the past, people were declared lunatics through legal or medical rulings, sometimes unjustly. Here are a few historical figures who were officially declared insane. 1. King George III, 1738 to 1820. The British king was declared unfit to rule due to mental instability, now believed to have been caused by porphyria or bipolar disorder. 2. Guy de Maupassant, 1850 to 1893. The French writer suffered from severe mental illness and was institutionalized before his death. 3. Friedrich Nietzsche, 1844 to 1900. The philosopher suffered a mental breakdown in 1889 and spent the last decade of his life in asylums. 4. Mary Todd Lincoln, 1818 to 1882. The widow of Abraham Lincoln was declared insane by a court and briefly institutionalized. 5. Václav Nijinsky, 1889 to 1950. The legendary ballet dancer was diagnosed with schizophrenia and spent much of his later life in asylums. And now for something more fitting for our time. The Enlightened Council of Questionable Decisions. A Modern Odyssey. In today's brave new world, we the people find ourselves under the well-manicured thumbs of what can only be described as the Council of Absolutely Confident Confusion. This elite committee includes our government leaders, whose policies often read like Mad Libs, scientific experts, who now communicate exclusively in contradictory TED Talks, religious figures, some of whom have replaced sermons with Instagram Reels, and social influencers who, despite majoring in hashtags and hot takes, seem to shape more minds than the education system ever dreamed of. Let's begin with our noble political leaders. Nothing screams leadership quite like arguing on live television about whether water is wet while simultaneously signing a bill that renames Thursdays. Their decision-making resembles a drunken game of darts, where the bullseye is reason and the darts are covered in TikTok filters. Meanwhile, in the scientific realm, we're told to trust the science, which is noble, except the science changes its mind more than a toddler picking an ice cream flavor. 1 week, coffee will kill you. The next, it will make you immortal. By Thursday, it causes spontaneous flamenco dancing. Naturally, funding remains robust. Religious leaders, once revered for their wisdom, now compete with AI-generated devotionals and trending miracle oils. And educators, oh bless their chalk-dusted hearts, must now navigate curriculums written by committees that apparently mistake children for bandwidth-limited robots who learn best through standardized tests and standardized boredom. But the true sages of this age are, of course, the influencers. These modern prophets bring us the gospel of flat tummy teas and conspiracy theories dressed in yoga pants. They convince millions to buy rocks that align your vibes, while claiming the moon is hollow because why not? And so, we march into the future, proudly confused, semi-informed, and led by a battalion of highly confident, questionably competent individuals. Godspeed. Now some words from our own Dalai Lama.
Thank you, Monica. You know I am always talking about the what if of our world ahead. I do have some opinion on the future. By 2045, sci-fi movies will fully embrace the AI apocalypse, but make it fashion aesthetic, where rogue AIs don't just enslave humanity, they curate our wardrobes. Space epics will feature intergalactic influencers battling for TikTok supremacy in zero gravity, while time travel films will focus on people going back to 2020 just to scream, "Don't do it." Alien invasion movies will take a turn, depicting Earth desperately trying to get extraterrestrials to colonize us because we've run out of ideas. And, of course, every blockbuster will be rebooted again, now starring CGI versions of actors who haven't even been born yet. Speaking of AI and the expectations that we might have returned to the future of fashion, wear socks where you and AI picks your pants. Fasten your space belts, dear reader. For the fashion future is not merely stitched in fabric, it's embroidered in absurdity. By 2035, we predict the rise of mood wear, clothing that changes color based on your emotions. Upset? Your shirt turns red. Elated? Neon yellow. Existential crisis? Tie-dye, obviously. Pants will become optional at high society events, replaced by leg veils made of recycled holograms and unresolved trauma. The term haute couture will be replaced with hot algorithm, as AI now chooses your wardrobe based on your browsing history. Accidentally clicked on a sloth video? Congratulations, you're wearing a fur-lined onesie to the board meeting. Hats will reach glorious new heights, literally. 6-foot-tall headwear embedded with Wi-Fi routers and solar panels will be all the rage, perfect for connecting to the cloud and shielding your eyes from fashion critics. Socks will no longer match by design. Mismatched footwear will symbolize your inner chaos and social rebellion. Denim will return, but only in the form of empathy jeans, which subtly squeeze your waist when someone near you is sad. Capes will be back too, because nothing says I'm emotionally unavailable like dramatic wind-flapping fabric in a coffee shop. In short, the future of fashion promises less functionality, more flair, and the undeniable feeling that your pants are judging you. Speaking of the future, let's go to Lucia for some of her prognostication. Lucia, the time is yours, doll.
Over the next decade, the roles of the World Health Organization, WHO, and the United Nations, UN, are expected to undergo significant transformation, caught between global necessity and rising skepticism. With the growing frequency of pandemics, climate-related health issues, and mental health crises, the WHO will likely expand its reach, not just in disease prevention, but in policy enforcement, digital health surveillance, and response coordination. However, it will also face mounting pressure from nations questioning its impartiality, transparency, and efficiency. Funding disputes and political influence will continue to challenge its credibility, leading to a demand for reforms. A more decentralized approach could emerge, where regional coalitions take on greater health autonomy while still coordinating under WHO advisement. As for the UN, its mission will remain as vital as ever, particularly in addressing escalating humanitarian crises, forced migration, and geopolitical tensions. However, its relevance will hinge on its ability to adapt. The Security Council structure is increasingly seen as outdated, and calls for reform, especially from emerging global powers, will likely intensify. If the UN is to avoid fading into symbolic irrelevance, it must modernize its conflict resolution processes, enforceable environmental mandates, and accountability mechanisms. Both organizations are at a crossroads: either adapt to a more multipolar and interconnected world, or risk becoming advisory bodies without real influence. The next decade could see a shift toward greater integration with technology platforms, data-sharing alliances, and public-private partnerships. The success of these institutions will rest not only on global cooperation, but also on their ability to demonstrate agility, transparency, and meaningful results. Ultimately, the future of the WHO and UN depends on whether the world's nations choose collaboration over fragmentation. In an era marked by division and digital disruption, their survival and effectiveness may come down to earning renewed trust, embracing reform, and proving they are still fit for purpose in an ever-changing global landscape. I'm Lucia, and I want to thank you for your attention.
Yes, I am back with more in-depth examinations of the modern time creative cinema. I am always good for a meaningful horror flick that I can't understand. Here are reviews of 5 of the silliest horror films of the last decade. 1. Velocipastor, 2018. A pastor turns into a velociraptor to fight crime. Yes, that's the plot, and no, we're not joking. Velocipastor roars into B-movie glory with acting stiffer than a church pew and effects that scream budget, 42 cents. It's gloriously absurd and deeply philosophical if your philosophy professor had rabies. There's kung fu, ninjas, and questionable theology. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll wonder how it got made, but you'll be glad it did. It's a prehistoric sermon you didn't know you needed. 2. Llamageddon, 2015. An alien llama crash lands on Earth and vaporizes people with laser eyes. Naturally. Llamageddon is what happens when someone watches Sharknado, drinks 3 energy drinks, and says, "Hold my beer." The llama's acting is better than most of the humans, and the effects are so low rent they could sublet a basement. Still, it's a pun-filled, fur-flying disaster piece where the absurdity gallops far ahead of logic. A must-watch for anyone who wants their horror to be 99% wool and 1% plot. 3. Killer Sofa, 2019. It's a haunted recliner. It stares at you. It kills. If IKEA and The Exorcist had a cursed child, it would be Killer Sofa. The film asks, what if your lazy boy was murderously motivated and never looks back? With more jump scares than cushions and a plot that could have been written by a furniture catalog, it's delightfully dumb and deeply committed to its premise. You may never sit comfortably again. Or stop laughing. 4. Slaughterhouse, 2023. Yes, a sloth goes on a killing spree. Because fast animals are too cliché. This jungle menace moves at a speed that rivals DMV lines, yet somehow racks up a body count. Slaughterhouse is a slow burn in every sense, with performances that match the sloth's enthusiasm. It's part Mean Girls, part Planet Earth, and wholly ridiculous. The kills are creative, the satire is surprisingly sharp, and the pacing? Well, sloth-like. An instant cult classic in slow motion. 5. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, 2023. When Pooh lost his copyright, he also lost his mind. Blood and Honey reimagines the beloved bear as a machete-wielding maniac. Piglets there too, equally feral. It's childhood nostalgia meets slasher gore in the worst way, think fanfiction written during a sugar crash. The acting? B-movie brilliance. The plot? An unholy stew of confusion and honey. Yet it's weirdly watchable, like a car crash in the 100-acre wood. Not for kids, unless your kid is Damien from The Omen. Okay, what I probably did was give you a challenge to prove me wrong, and I suspect you could. I'm Chloe Clam Chowder, and I am not ready for an argument. Anyway, I do wish you a good night.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. We are glad you are with us. Stay updated on our latest content. Thanks for your support.